I think the next one is always the toughest one because people expect more and more. That the whole world was like watching and it was alive.
I think the next one is always the toughest one because people expect more and more. The whole world was watching and it was alive. He grew up in the shadows of the biggest superstar on the planet. He dreamed of professional golf, not the spotlight. What is acting, and how do I go about learning what that is? And I was put around incredible people. Then the phone rang. Jafar Jackson, son of Jermaine and nephew of Michael, was offered the role of a lifetime. To get comfortable with especially dancing, I knew how to move. I knew how to move on beat and everything. But to move like Michael Jackson is a whole other beast. No acting experience, no formal training, just raw talent and a family legacy. This is his story. Jafar Jeremiah Jackson was born on July 25, 1996 in Los Angeles, California. His father is Jermaine Jackson, a founding member of the Jackson 5, who played bass guitar and sang backing vocals alongside his brothers. His mother, Alejandra Genevieve Oiza, is a fashion designer of Colombian descent. Jafar entered a world already defined by the Jackson family's monumental impact on popular music. The family name carried weight and expectation from his first breath. As a boy, he did not dwell on that legacy or consider a career in entertainment. He lived a relatively normal childhood inside the sprawling Jackson compound in Encino, surrounded by cousins, aunts, and uncles who were themselves global celebrities. He had no idea that decades later he would be asked to portray his famous uncle in a major motion picture. The honor and responsibility of that role would only become clear to him much later. Now let's take a look at our special topic. This striking image places Michael Jackson and his nephew Jafar Jackson side by side, creating a powerful connection between two generations. Michael appears in a classic black tuxedo in the background, while Jafar stands in front wearing a gold sequined jacket with a red collar, closely matching his uncle's iconic style. Their similar features and expressions make the comparison especially eye-catching. The image suggests that Jafar is stepping into a legacy that Michael left behind, carrying his music and influence into a new generation. But how much of the resemblance is real, you think? Let us know in the comments. Jafar's father, Jermaine Jackson, rose to international fame as the second lead vocalist of the Jackson 5, alongside his brothers Jackie, Tito, Marlon, and Michael. Jermaine enjoyed a long and varied career in music, releasing solo albums and continuing to perform well into the 2000s. His mother, Alejandra Genevieve Oiza, was born in Bogota, Colombia, and built a career in fashion design. She brought a distinct Latin American cultural influence to Jafar's upbringing, introducing him to Spanish language and Colombian traditions. Jermaine and Alejandra married in 1995 and separated in 2003, but they remained involved in their children's lives. Through his father, Jafar inherited a direct connection to Motown Records, Berry Gordy, and the golden age of American pop. Through his mother, he gained a cultural perspective that extended well beyond the United States. The combination shaped his identity from an early age. Jafar grew up in a large blended family spread across multiple households. He has numerous siblings on both sides of his family tree. His only full brother is Your Majesty Jermaine Jackson, born in 2000, with whom he shares both parents and a close bond. I'm Jafar, and I'm Your Majesty. And we would all like to say Happy Holidays. Jafar also has several half-siblings from Jermaine's other relationships, and from his mother's other relationships, making the total sibling count quite large. Counting them all, he grew up in a crowded, noisy household where competition for attention was constant. His uncles include Jackie, Tito, Marlon, and Randy Jackson. His aunts include Janet, LaToya, and Rebby Jackson. The Jackson family compound at Havenhurst housed a constant stream of relatives, musicians, managers, and visitors. Jafar navigated this complex family dynamic throughout his childhood and adolescence. Jafar was raised in Los Angeles, the global capital of the entertainment industry and home to countless recording studios, film sets, and talent agencies. The city's creative atmosphere surrounded him daily, from the billboards on Sunset Boulevard to the recording sessions happening in nearby studios. In addition to his schooling, he developed a personal passion for the visual arts, including drawing, fashion, and travel. He spent his youth balancing ordinary teenage routines with exposure to professional music environments. Guided by his father Jermaine, he spent years around elite producers and songwriters, observing the mechanics of track building and song arrangement firsthand. He absorbed the Jackson work ethic through simple proximity. Music was not Jafar's first career ambition by any stretch. As a young boy, he wanted to become a professional golfer and spent many hours on the golf course perfecting his swing. The sport demanded patience, precision, and mental fortitude, qualities that Jafar developed seriously. He practiced regularly, studied the game, and dreamed of competing at a professional level. He followed golf tournaments on television and admired players like Tiger Woods. However, his focus shifted dramatically around age 12. He started to feel the pull of music and dance, the family's true inheritance. The golf clubs were gradually set aside in favor of microphones and rehearsal spaces. The competitive drive he developed on the course later translated directly to his discipline as a performer and his willingness to endure grueling practice sessions. To build a foundational understanding of music, Jafar enrolled in structured piano lessons focusing on scales, chord progressions, and music theory. He listened to classic artists extensively and studied their vocal techniques with focused attention. He covered songs by Sam Cooke and Marvin Gaye, learning about emotional delivery, phrasing, and breath control. Unlike some of his relatives who performed from infancy on stage, Jafar discovered his passion on his own terms without pressure from his parents. He enjoyed the process of learning a new song and perfecting a dance move in his bedroom. He started performing covers at family gatherings and playing piano for relatives. The stage gradually began to appeal to him as a place where he could express himself honestly and connect with audiences. Jafar shared a close personal bond with his uncle Michael that he cherishes to this day. He visited Neverland Ranch regularly as a child and played hide-and-seek with Michael across the sprawling property, running through the gardens and amusement park areas. They rode the amusement rides together, including the carousel and the small train that circled the property. They watched movies in the private theater, which had its own concession stand. The family gathered there during holidays and special occasions throughout the year. These were not abstract memories of a distant celebrity. They were the vivid, warm recollections of a nephew who knew his uncle as a kind, playful family member who loved to laugh. Michael was the king of pop to the rest of the world, but to Jafar, he was simply Uncle Michael, who enjoyed spending time with his nieces and nephews. In 2015, Jafar made his first television appearance as a cast member on the reality shows Living with the Jacksons and the Jacksons, Next Generation. The series followed his cousins Taj, Terrell, and TJ Jackson, who performed as the group 3T. Jafar appeared alongside them in various episodes, participating in family events and behind-the-scenes moments. The filming took place across several months and required him to adapt quickly to camera presence and production schedules. He learned the rhythms of television production, including lighting, blocking, and interview formats. The shows aired on cable networks and introduced him to a wider audience outside the immediate Jackson fan base. He followed the shoot schedules diligently and participated in the family-oriented storylines that the networks developed for each episode. The experience provided his first taste of the entertainment industry. Beyond his family's extensive catalog of hits, Jafar drew inspiration from a diverse range of non-Jackson artists. He admired Frank Sinatra's smooth vocal phrasing, impeccable timing, and commanding stage presence. He studied Stevie Wonder's mastery of melody, harmony, and songwriting craft, particularly albums like Songs in the Key of Life. Icons like Nat King Cole, Johnny Mathis, Earth, Wind and Fire, and classic cinematic film scores also deeply shaped his understanding of vocal arrangement, atmosphere, and storytelling. He cited these names alongside his family's work when discussing his musical direction in interviews. He listened to their records repeatedly during his teenage years, analyzing their techniques, phrasing, and stage presence. The classic crooners and soul singers formed the bedrock of his vocal approach and gave him a foundation that extended beyond the Jackson sound. He absorbed their influences to develop his own distinct style rather than simply imitating his relatives. In 2019, Jafar released his debut single, Got Me Singing, to the public. The track featured alt R&B production with a Brazilian funk influence, setting it apart from typical pop releases. He co-wrote the song with producer Hardy Indiogo Mwanza, collaborating closely on the lyrics and melody. The music video was filmed on location in the Vidigal favela in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, adding a vibrant visual element. The single accumulated over 3 million YouTube views within its first few months online. The track drew attention from R&B blogs, streaming playlists, and music critics. It generated interest outside the immediate Jackson fan base and established a foothold for his solo career. The release marked his official entry into the music industry as a recording artist. Got Me Singing was intended as the lead single for a full-length album titled Famous, which Jafar had been developing throughout 2019. He worked on the album intensively, recording tracks and refining the production. In early 2020, he suggested a May or June release date during a visit to Pakistan, expressing optimism about the project. However, the full album never saw the light of day. Industry delays halted its progress repeatedly. His label reportedly expressed concerns that his vocal style sounded too similar to his Uncle Michael Jackson's distinctive voice. They worried about market confusion and audience expectations. The album remained unreleased and the tracks stayed in the vault. The experience frustrated Jafar and taught him about the unpredictable nature of the music business. If you've made it this far, please hit the like button. It really helps the channel. Jafar released his second single, Confused, in 2020 as a follow-up to his debut. The song featured a late-night atmospheric vibe with moody production and introspective lyrics about relationship uncertainty. Critics drew comparisons to The Weeknd's darker R&B sound and Michael Jackson's 1990s work on albums like Dangerous. The track leaned into deeper emotional territory with its lyrical content and production choices. Confused did not achieve the same level of viral success as his debut single, but it still generated modest streaming numbers across platforms. He released the track across all major streaming services and continued working in the studio despite the earlier album setback. The single appeared on curated R&B playlists and received moderate airplay on urban radio stations. It demonstrated his commitment to evolving as an artist beyond his first release. He performed the song at a few small venues. In 2021, Jafar collaborated with his uncle Tito Jackson on a music video for Tito's solo single, Love One Another. The video featured both Jacksons on camera together with Jafar appearing in multiple scenes alongside his veteran uncle. Jafar worked alongside Tito throughout the entire shoot, observing his uncle's professional approach. The project brought the two generations together on a professional set for the first time. The video was released on Tito's official YouTube channel and social media platforms. Fans responded enthusiastically to the multi-generational appearance of the Jacksons. Jafar observed Tito's approach to performance, camera blocking, and interaction with the crew. He adapted his own camera work accordingly and learned practical lessons from his uncle's decades of experience. Producer Graham King, who had produced the Oscar-winning Queen biopic Bohemian Rhapsody, contacted Jafar directly about the Michael Jackson biopic project. King had already conducted an extensive worldwide search for the right actor to play the king of pop. He looked at nearly 200 actors from various countries and backgrounds before meeting Jafar. They first spoke over Zoom for an initial conversation and then met in person for a longer session. King immediately felt a powerful connection with Jafar during their face-to-face meeting. He later compared the experience to the moment Rami Malek walked into his office to play Freddie Mercury. King described the meeting as an overwhelming feeling of rightness and authenticity. He knew he had found his Michael Jackson. When Jafar first heard about the biopic and the casting process, he did not think he would be chosen for the part. He had no formal acting training whatsoever. His only previous screen credit was a reality television episode filmed years earlier. He had never studied acting, taken classes, or performed in any dramatic role for stage or screen. He told King honestly during their meeting, I never wanted to be an actor." His lack of experience did not deter the producers. King and director Antoine Fuqua pursued him aggressively despite his lack of formal training. The production team saw something in his natural presence, physical resemblance, and intuitive understanding of his uncle's mannerisms. They moved forward with him as their top choice and began discussing the intensive training he would need for the role. The decision was considered risky, but ultimately justified. The casting process for the biopic required definitive proof that an untrained actor could hold a massive film set. Director Antoine Fuqua brought Jafar in for a rigorous makeup and camera screen test alongside cinematographer Dion Bibi. During the test, Fuqua caught Jafar off guard while cameras were rolling by, throwing an unscripted question at him in character. Jafar stayed completely in the moment and responded as Michael, moving members of the crew to tears with the emotional authenticity of the moment. Jafar had an uncanny ability to emulate Michael's physicality, gestures, and energy without formal training. The production team concluded the audition process after witnessing his ability to command the camera. They offered him the role shortly after their final meetings concluded. The decision was unanimous among the key creative team members. After being cast in the biopic, Jafar kept the news completely to himself for nearly a full year. He did not tell his mother, his father, or any other family member about the role. He wanted to wait until he was comfortable and confident in his preparation before sharing the news with anyone. "I kept it pretty quiet until I felt comfortable enough to share it," he explained later in interviews. When his mother finally visited the set for the first time, she was completely blown away by what she saw. The surprise reveal was an emotional moment for the entire family. He waited nearly a full calendar year before telling his family about the role he had landed. His mother's reaction confirmed that he had made the right decision in keeping the secret until he was fully prepared and confident in his ability to portray his uncle. In January 2023, the news finally broke that Jafar Jackson had been cast as his Uncle Michael in the upcoming biopic. Jafar announced the news on his Instagram account with a black and white photo taken during a rehearsal session. His caption read, "I'm humbled and honored to bring my Uncle Michael's story to life. To all the fans all over the world, I'll see you soon." The announcement generated immediate excitement among fans and media outlets around the world. Entertainment publications ran the story across their platforms. The news trended on social media for several days. Fans expressed cautious optimism about the casting choice. The production team released a brief statement confirming the news and expressing their confidence in Jafar's ability to carry the film. Michael Jackson's mother, Katherine Jackson, publicly endorsed her grandson's casting in the biopic. She stated clearly, "Jafar embodies my son. It's so wonderful to see him carry on the Jackson legacy of entertainers and performers." Her approval carried immense weight with both the production team and the Jackson fan base. Prince Jackson, Michael's eldest son, also expressed his strong support for the casting decision. He said that seeing Jafar on set in full costume felt like seeing his father again. The family stood firmly behind the project and Jafar's performance. Katherine gave her public approval early in the production process, providing crucial credibility. Her endorsement appeared prominently in the film's promotional materials and helped reassure fans who were skeptical about the biopic. Jafar trained intensively for over a year to prepare for the biopic role. He underwent daily acting and dialect coaching to match Michael's distinctive vocal pitch and speaking patterns. He practiced complex dance routines relentlessly, sometimes rehearsing for hours until a single move was technically correct. He danced until his feet bled or went numb from exhaustion. He lived at the Havenhurst estate during the training period and slept in different rooms to absorb the emotional energy of the house. He trained in the same dance studio where Michael had prepared for his world tours. He studied footage of Michael's performances obsessively. He worked with choreographers and movement coaches who had previously collaborated with Michael. The physical and emotional commitment required was extraordinary by any standard. The biopic, simply titled Michael, was released in theaters on April 24, 2026. Antoine Fuqua directed the film from a screenplay written by John Logan. The supporting cast included Coleman Domingo as Joe Jackson, Nia Long as Catherine Jackson, and Miles Teller as John Branca. Giuliano Cruvaldi played a younger version of Michael during the Jackson 5 era. The film blended Jafar's own vocal performances with his uncle's original recordings from the master tapes. This creative decision aimed to honor Michael's iconic voice while allowing Jafar to contribute his own interpretive work. The theatrical release took place across North America and international markets simultaneously. The opening weekend drew strong attendance from fans and general audiences alike. The critical reception to Jafar's performance in Michael was broadly positive across major publications and review platforms. Reviewers noted his physical transformation, emotional depth, and commitment to the role. His grandmother Catherine repeated her earlier praise publicly, saying he truly embodied her son on screen. Prince Jackson described the experience of watching the film as deeply emotional for the entire family. Jafar reflected on the journey in post-release interviews by saying he had to earn the role and prove to the filmmakers he was capable of becoming Michael. Critics and family members alike praised his transformation on screen. The film's success at the box office further validated his performance. He received award nominations for his portrayal of his uncle. The Jackson family attended the premiere together, marking a significant moment of unity around the project. Jafar Jackson turned 30 years old in July 2026, marking a new decade of his life. He became engaged to Maddie Simpson in February 2025. They had been dating continuously since 2016. The biopic's release opened significant new opportunities for him in the entertainment industry. Casting directors and producers took serious notice of his performance. He has received inquiries about future film projects and scripts. The Jackson legacy continues through his work. He remains based in Los Angeles and continues to develop his music career alongside his acting prospects. He has hinted at new music releases and interviews. His future in the industry looks secure after the success of Michael. From the golf course to the world's biggest stage, Jafar Jackson proved that sometimes the right person for the job isn't the one with the most experience, it's the one with the most heart. His portrayal of his uncle earned critical praise and family approval alike. Now 30 years old and engaged to longtime partner Maddie Simpson, he carries the Jackson legacy forward on his own terms.